speaking of the guy, and speaking of defense, the guy that Jim Knowles is replacing was going to be the guy that I wanted to talk about. That being Tom Allen, taking the defensive coordinator job over at Clemson. Was 1 year at Penn State, then goes to Clemson and takes it over there. Joe, your thoughts, Tom Allen being the new DC at Clemson?
It's kind of funny to see all the shuffling chairs, and I guess the party that got screwed the most in all this is Ohio State. But to see the shuffling chairs that actually help the outcomes for all these teams. Jim Knowles for Penn State is amazing. And Tom Allen stepping in here as Clemson's new defensive coordinator is probably the most impactful move of this offseason that is not getting enough pop. It's just not getting enough recognition for what this can change. Their defense, the identity that they had on that side of the football, Blake, was what made Clemson so good during their national championship runs. The biggest problem that we have consistently seen for Dabo is swinging and missing on coordinator hires. Since that national championship chunk of time when they were like in the thick of it and they were always a top 4 team, we criticized the hell out of him until he brought in Garrett Riley.
Yes.
And now we criticize the hell out of him until he brings in somebody as premier as Tom Allen. Going to outsiders to boost the quality of play on both sides of the football is what gets Dabo back into winning the ACC consistently, back in the national championship conversation consistently. And he's going into the freaking portal, which is the craziest part about all of this. This Clemson team, this defense, it's not going to be perfect, but I really believe that their run defense is going to be better because it's going to have better direction. I'm a big fan of Will Helt, and I think that Will Helt is going to have an impact as well. We've talked really highly of Sammy Brown, who is a tremendous linebacker who's going to be key for the run defense improving. A lot of things need to go right, and it starts when you have a known commodity leading the direction. That's how you get things to start going right instead of a wild card like promoting somebody on the roster or hiring somebody away from a smaller program.
All right. This is not indicative of Tom Allen, but stay with me.
Okay.
I don't think any hire in the country stops from teams whipping your ass up front. I don't. I mean, Joe, I keep going back to when it comes to Clemson, I keep coming back to the Texas game where backups, Joe, backups were coming in. Will Helt doesn't stop that. Peter Woods and those guys got pushed around for 300 yards before kneel downs. That is a fact. That's not an opinion. It is a fact. Joe, I look at a team in Georgia as an example who could not run the football to save their life this year. Second half, they start snapping necks and cashing checks. Trevor Etienne did not play in that game, by the way. A true freshman running back in his first game ever had to step up. I love the addition of Tom Allen. I don't want to go away from that. Year one is a different beast of what they need to do. Him taking over at Penn State, doing what he did, is a different animal than taking over what he's going to be taking over at Clemson. If they are able, I'm not saying they can't do this, if they get better defensively, it's going to come with the front four. They cannot allow teams. Let's look at the teams that beat them this year. They were 10-4. They lost to Texas. They lost to Georgia. They lost to South Carolina. They lost to Louisville. What do all four of those offenses have in common when they're clicking? They want to play physical and run the football. That 1,000% is their DNA. I just don't know if schematically he can work around that. Now, if they have a big offseason going into game one versus LSU and they win that thing, okay, great. I'm more of a wait-and-see mode. They're going to have to go through a little mini rebuild here, in my opinion. Now, Sammy Brown in that front seven, we've talked about Sammy Brown ad nauseum. I think you can move him around and do a lot of creative things. I just don't know if it stops the ultimate trajectory of what you got to do to rebuild. I love the hire, and I don't want to act like I don't love the hire. I also want to point out that the 4 games that you lost last year, you got physically dominated, and I just don't know if he can change that, if that makes sense.
The bodies are definitely important for having a good run defense. Like I'm not going to sit here and question it. I mean, if I tried to question that, I wouldn't know ball.
It's not like they're giving up 150. To your point,
right? It's a multi-year process, but at the same time, I can at least feel better about the group performing better. I can feel better about the group like taking a step forward. The one thing that does need to just be briefly brought up is Tom Allen took over a really well recruited group and well coached by Manny Diaz. He took over a group that Manny Diaz built.
Oh,
we got to see, like, in all seriousness, like, I'm not trying to crap on Clemson because I've been really bullish on Clemson. Clemson fans think I'm a hater. This year, the two teams I've shit on the most, Texas and Clemson, I'm suddenly a big supporter of both those programs this offseason, which is hilarious.
I can't wait for the day you do it for USC.
That will never happen. Never in a million years. Hate USC. What I'm getting at here is that we do need to, like, for sure see, hey, can he coach well stepping into a new situation that wasn't already well built? Because you're right. This is not a well-structured defense. It's got holes. It's messy. It's losing some quality guys. It's a process.
And listen, call me a homer all you want, but here's a non-homer take. You go out there game one and you let a team that's replacing an entire offensive line and could not run the football last year at LSU, you let them come into your house and run the football on you, we'll have our answer early. You stop the run and you're like, okay, well, that's better than what we've ever seen. Well, I mean, they weren't that good. You're going to get the crack at it game one. I don't know. I mean, you are. I just listen. It's Joe. If they were only giving up 150, maybe even 200, I'd be like, all right, maybe there's motivation factors here. Joe, they're giving up at this point. Pride was on the line, right? Like there were games were. A game was on the line to advance in the playoffs, and you couldn't stop 34 power. By the way, you had a center and a right guard that were backups and a right tackle that came into the game, and they whipped your ever-living ass. The question becomes, what does Tom Allen do knowing this going in? And you're right. Manny recruited his ass off. I mean, look, Manny Diaz is a lot of things. He's gotten a bad rep. Having bad defenses – and recruiting and building those defenses is not going to be one of them.
No.
I do agree with you. I think you hit the nail on the head here. There's a difference, though. We should expect them to be a little bit better in stopping the run. I'm with you there. Schematically, everything, I'm with you there. But there comes a point in time. I thought their DB room, for what it's worth, I don't think they played bad. Joe, I really didn't think they played bad versus Texas. It was just when you could not stop the run and Texas kept going play action on your ass. Yeah. Same with Georgia. That's when you started getting obliterated. Again, give Tom Allen time. It will work. But what is your expectation going